His love of classical music starts very early in middle school, and it parallels his love of alcohol. And I don't think you could separate the two of those either. He was discovered by Robert Kraft, a composer and a classical music critic who was working on musical pieces with the 80-year-old Igor Stravinsky in the later part of his life. The music teacher in his middle school, Warren's music teacher, hooked him up with Kraft. And they would spend afternoons sitting around and reading and critiquing other classical pieces. And he would drink vodka with Stravinsky. And he was 12, 13. And Kraft writes in his memoirs, which I have in the book, this kid's amazing. He's not only precocious, but he asks the right questions. He seems to understand what questions to ask. He understands why the music is dense, why it has purpose, why it's classical. He understood why Stravinsky stood apart. He was sort of his own rock star, Stravinsky, about how much Stravinsky shocked and appalled the Paris Literate and all the, with his Rite of Spring. People, were riots going on. And Zevon understood that. He understood the power of that music. He understood the provocative nature of it. And he always saw himself as a 19th century composer with the baton and the wild hair and writing these symphonies. And he worked on one for his whole life. And I saw the pages, and that was something that constantly really did torture him. It was underneath there, bubbling, that maybe he played a little bit with being the pop star. He didn't really embrace it. He didn't hold it like a baby or a porcelain doll. He kind of threw it up in the air and juggled it, and instead of being like, oh, I'm famous now, gotta stay famous. He's just like, hey, I should be doing this and that. When he became famous, he did a ton of interviews, and every interview he said, I'm working on a symphony. This is what I'm doing. I'm into Bartok. I'm into Stravinsky. I'm into Prokofiev. If you listen to the French Inhaler or Accidentally Like a Martyr or Genius later in his career, he's using not only string arrangements, which he wrote out meticulously by hand. He loved to do that. But he just, in his structured songs, Jackson Browne says, it was in the songs, the style of the writing. So you could see where he's infusing his influences, as opposed to, say John Lee Hooker or Elvis Presley or Bob Dylan. And all those things did inform Warren's music. But, above all, I believe it is the classical.